it's becoming more than evidence. The evidence is overwhelming, archaeologically, astronomically, anthropologically, that the Egyptian civilization is much, much older than we think. And therefore the process of evolution is much more slower and the way that we would expect it.
And that also would assume that we were just beginning to think, in our arrogance perhaps, that we knew all there was to know about these people, or we certainly knew a great deal about them. If there was something before them, and if their history goes back even further than we ever believed, then we've only scratched the surface.
Yes, there is, and this, by the way, is now widely accepted by many Egyptologists. I mean, there is what we're beginning to call a proto-pharaonic civilization. There was a lost civilization, that's for sure, that existed in what today is the Sahara. In a time where the climate was very, very different, and at a time where people flourished in a kind of lush, very, very habitable zone. It's now, of course, just sand. I've been exploring with my co-author. We actually went to the remote parts of the Sahara, and the evidence is overwhelming that there existed a people there who had developed the very thing that we find used by the pyramid builders. Astronomy, for example. There is a site that has made quite a sensation since the late 90s called Napta Playa. It is in the very distant south of Egypt, about 100 kilometers from the Nile going into the Western Desert. And it's baffled everybody because it's been now called a ceremonial astronomical site. It's a kind of like a mini Stonehenge in the desert. It's the oldest astronomical site known to the whole world. It's dated to about 9 to 10,000 BC, and it contains very sophisticated astronomy, and precisely the astronomy that we see in the pyramids. Alignments to Orion's belt, alignments to the star Sirius, calendars. So it is very clear now that there was a people. We don't know who they are, by the way. I mean, all we know is that they were black. They came probably from southeast Africa, Central East Africa, sorry. Probably through the Chad, and around 20,000 years ago.
Is this the conspiracy that you talk about in the title of your new book? Is it a conspiracy?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that there is a bunch of old men smoking cigarettes and deciding to create a conspiracy, but
in practice, that's how it works.
Ignore. Just refuse to publish any facts of African history that don't go along with our racial theories.
What we need to do is flood the world with new African histories that contain our European perspectives only.
Start renaming people and places. Replace African names with Arabic and European names. This will disguise their true black identity.
When reporting ancient African history, reverse the standard. No matter how dark the skin, woolly the hair, or thick the lips, you don't have to be a Negro.
When black contribution to civilization is too obvious, let's find a way to attribute it to outside white influences.
When all the ancient historians contradict your theory, we'll just discredit them.